So hi, my name's Glenn Brace. I'm the head of studio for Elevation. So how many projects have I worked on VR specific? Quite a lot. So I've been around in the VR space for a while. Even previous to nDreams, I was doing some VR work. So it's been a long journey. So when I jumped in with nDreams, VR was still a relatively new landscape. So at the beginning, it was very much about lots of small products that probed the space a little bit, how they performed, because we were development and publishing. So when we put products out there, we knew what picked up, how they performed, how people were playing them, and things like that. So there was a bit of sort of R&D into the sort of smaller products we did. So a whole bunch of those. I think sort of key things was all those built up to what was Phantom. So Phantom was like the first big, I'd say, steps in sort of AAA VR development that took the learnings of our previous devs. So I was art director and sort of did the original pitch for that product. That was a two and a half year dev in the end by the time we actually did that. But that was the first steps into what I believe is a high quality VR proposition that is built for VR, a term we call VR first, that actually pushes the medium of VR forward. Because a lot of our previous titles were very small, so it was like, this is a really good shooter, this is a really good puzzle game, this is a, how do the controllers work? And we took many lessons from all those smaller products, but bringing them all together into a complete product was like always a stepping stone we had planned. So Phantom represented that. Then it was an interesting time because VR in location-based arcade was picking up, like pre-COVID, it was getting really big. So really excited to step into that space. So Far Cry was a really interesting dev, really good fun, amazing to have high production value, great IP, and focus in on half an hour gameplay. So it was great. So when you're making games, you've got so much content, but to have that high-end benchmark, great IP, just for half an hour, that was an exciting dev in itself. So another one there. And then Fract was an interesting development again. Taking the learnings a little bit more forward with that. So Phantom, fantastic in terms of the medium of VR, but it was still like stealth action. You were still in the crowd. Fract was really interesting because it was about accessibilities, fast-paced 360 action in VR. Because if you think back a number of years ago, a lot of people like VR was either on rails or teleport. It wasn't as free as say potential console games could be. Whereas Fract kind of was a stepping stone to sort of blowing that theory away in the sense of, no, you can have 360 combat, you can have fast-paced action movement in VR, still have the immersion and tactility that comes with controllers. So Fract was an interesting dev after that. And obviously all the devs we've got going currently, there's, I was involved at early doors Ghostbusters. I'm trying to think which ones I can mention or good, but a number of devs. I haven't counted them all actually in terms of VR. And then obviously more recently Elevation was sort of the put together to sort of be that next step of VR development. So as we mentioned with Phantom, at the time it was quite ahead of itself, it's been out for a while. We're doing that again. We're doing another Phantom. We're taking what is the best of the medium now. And the only difference now is we're generations ahead. The hardware is far more impressive. The haptic feedback, the controllers are more Unreal 5s on the scene. The rendering, the software, the hardware, and the commerciality of VR. The VR space is bigger, so the funding models have changed. We're at a precipice to see a big step in VR, and that's what Elevation is doing, and that's what we're working on at the moment.